Welcome back. The president of the very influential conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation, is facing internal backlash for defending Tucker Carlson's recent interview with white nationalist and Holocaust denier Nick Fuentes. The Heritage Foundation, you probably remember, known for crafting Project 2025. Its president, Kevin Roberts, has since apologized for these comments that sparked several resignations.
And we will always defend our friends against the slander of bad actors who serve someone else's agenda. That includes Tucker Carlson. I disagree with and even abhor things that Nick Fuentes says. But canceling him is not the answer either.
Michael Warren has been covering this story, and it's been moving in many different directions for the Dispatch. Michael, I'm so glad you're with us. Thank you. You wrote a piece called Conservatism at the Crossroads. What are the crossroads, and what are the ramifications of these crossroads?
Well, it's a question that, as you were talking about in the previous segment, Major, sort of where is the future of the Republican Party? And the conservative movement is such a huge part of the Republican Party. Where will conservatives go? Will they sort of draw the line at defense of neo-Nazis and platforming neo-Nazis? And that's really the origin of this whole debate. Kevin Roberts gets up there, that video that you played, defending Tucker Carlson after there was a lot of outrage among conservatives who are pro-Israel and among conservatives who don't want to associate with neo-Nazis after Tucker Carlson had that interview with Nick Fuentes. A lot of people reacted to Kevin Roberts' defense saying, what are you doing this for? Why are you going out of your way to defend Tucker Carlson in this moment? He's eating a lot of crow for this. He's, as you said, facing a lot of resignations from the Heritage Foundation, but also from a sort of broad anti-Semitism, fighting anti-Semitism project that other coalition groups had joined. A lot of those groups have since left that project. And it's been a real problem PR-wise for him. But I think it also suggests that the conservative movement is trying to figure out where that line is, what they're willing to tolerate, who they're willing to tolerate within their movement, and who they're willing to say, that's too far, we don't want to be associated with you. I don't think they've figured out the answer to that question.
And Michael, it seems that there is a stark and very important generational divide within conservatism about liberal democracy, not liberal capital L, small l liberal democracy, the founding principles of this country, authoritarianism, and the like.
It's a good question. I've been led to believe since I published this initial story, a lot of people say, it's the loudest voices among young conservatives and the young right who are sort of agitating for more authoritarian views. But the fact is that gets a lot of attention and it can influence minds. And there are a lot of young people for whom the fights of, say, the Ronald Reagan era and the George W. Bush era feel like fights that conservatives have lost. They want to get, sort of down and dirty, and they view questions about constitutionalism, rule of law, and sort of following those, as you say, small l liberal democracy rules are for chumps. And in a lot of ways, Donald Trump has opened the door for this. Donald Trump is hard to pin down ideologically, but I think we can all agree he doesn't like to follow the rules. And that's really opened the door for a lot of these young conservatives for whom Donald Trump is really the only conservative or Republican president that they know of.
Michael, we've got about a minute and a half. You spent a minute talking about President Trump, J.D. Vance, the vice president. They have been silent while all this has been roiling for the past 2 or 3 weeks. How much longer can they be that way?
I guess as long as they choose to be, hoping maybe that this kind of blows over. Although it's interesting that this continues almost every single day. It continues to be another development, another person associated with, say, the Heritage Foundation who pulls away or speaks out. And I think that suggests that maybe it's not going away. I don't think Donald Trump particularly cares about what's going on at the Heritage Foundation. He was frustrated, in fact, with the Project 2025 stuff that kind of frustrated his campaign in 2024. I think J.D. Vance is going to have a lot of questions lobbed at him on that debate stage in 2028. And I wouldn't be surprised if someone like Ted Cruz, who's been very vocal on this point and critical of Tucker Carlson, if he's the one lobbing those questions and tough questions for the vice president, as maybe they both run for president.
Michael Warren from the Dispatch. I appreciate your time, sir. Frank, thank you very, very much.